Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. I'm thrilled that we have Katie Oman with us here today. She is an author and a book coach for people that have a story to tell. So, Katie, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be here today and have this conversation. Yes, as you say, I am an author. I've written and published 9 books to date so far. Currently writing my 10th, and I work as a book coach. So I help other people to write and publish their own books. The 22nd came out a couple of weeks ago through that process. And I also work as well in my own business. And I'm a empowerment coach, motivational speaker, and event organizer. So I have lots of strings to my bow, but essentially I try and just help people as best I can, however I can.
Fantastic. So what inspired you to actually get into this interesting niche and to become a book coach?
Well, I'd had the desire to be an author myself for years, and but didn't believe in myself enough to do it. Suffered from real imposter syndrome and low self confidence and all that sort of stuff. And then I wrote my first book in 2013 after I'd had my twins, because which sounds kind of crazy because I obviously had my hands full, but it was the only thing that was mine. My whole day was taken up with other people. And I loved it. And they say over the years with writing and publishing and marketing and promotion, all that sort of stuff. And then about 3 years ago, my best friend lives in Florida in the States. And she said, I've got this really great idea for a book, but I haven't got any time. She said, if I pay you, if I give you all my notes, could you do it for me and put it out? And I was like, okay. And actually realized that I have way more skills and wisdom about this stuff than I probably realized. And from that, the book coaching was born, because I think, if you've got things that you can help people, there's a gap in the market. There's a gap that people who perhaps need you and can't find someone like why wouldn't you?
Totally, yeah, absolutely. So it looks like you were drawn into what you're doing now, and that's really interesting way to find what you love and to
Yeah.
find your passion as well, because there's something similar that happened to me. When I was actually a long time ago in 2011, when I was training to become a coach to actually help myself. As I was doing all these exercises with the other coaches that were there, they were usually asking me like, "Oh, Tony, after we did the exercise and then they went through this like transformation, they were asking me, Tony, can you please like be my coach?"
Yeah.
So that's how I started coaching coaches as well. Wonderful, yeah. So tell me please also, like, because this is called Open Book Entrepreneurs, so we're talking about the things that are really good and the success and everything else, which you have a lot. But how are you sort of like managing, or what are you motivated by when things get tough in your business?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I say this to my children, is that if you follow your passion, the path always shows itself, right? So rather than say to your children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because it's so ever changing, and I think it's too hard to make that decision. But if you follow your passion, it always kind of unfolds naturally. And so ultimately, although there are times in my work that it's hard, as all business owners know, it's very up and down. I've been self-employed now since 2018, and it's very much a roller coaster, as you know. And sometimes like it's quieter, or sometimes you like or overwhelmed and it's too busy. But ultimately, I absolutely love what I do. And I one of the biggest gifts for me is to watch transformation happen in real time. Because writing books is not just about the book. It's also what that process gives you as a person, and it's massively empowering, and it's massively a huge boost of self-confidence, because to accomplish that in your life, it spurs you on and goes, what else can I do? Like one of my clients, she's a single parent, and she'd never even been out of the country before, and through writing this book with me, she's now booked her first abroad holiday with her children ever, because she's like, well, like I can just want to do everything now because I feel like so empowered. So, and it's that's why my program is called Write Your Magic, because it is a magical process.
That's so funny because I was just before we started recording this interview, I was just talking to my wife and I was saying, I don't know, I just got this thought in my mind, and I said, I really have to write a book. So
Mm.
that's really good, yeah, because this is I'm going to have to speak to you about that as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of like if people actually want to work with you and stuff, like how that looks like, how, because obviously you're helping them sort of publish their book and stuff,
Yeah.
you're coaching them. So how that usually looks like, please?
It's very personal to every individual because people need me for different things. There is I'll give you the generic one in a second, but like I have gone from people who just need accountability to finish. They've already started and they need someone just to spur them on and keep them going. Some people want me for the editing and formatting side of it because they're fine with the writing. Some people have an idea but don't really know how to get started. And some people have no idea. They will know when they want to write a book but haven't got a clue what that looks like. So it's different for different people. But ultimately, as a general rule of thumb, I will take you from idea to published book. So we will have coaching calls on I love Zoom once a week and for an hour. And when we start off, we talk about the idea. So we may do like a little brainstorming session and do a brain dump and see what you're interested in and what you're knowledgeable in, what you're passionate about. Once you have some kind of idea that's really lighting you up, because you should be passionate about what you're writing about, because writing in itself can be hard at times. And again, if you're not passionate about it, it won't carry you through. So it used to be something that lights you up, right? Once you've got the idea, then what we do is we look at structure. So some people need a real container for their book. So they like to know what is the narrative structure of the book, what's the chapter breakdown. They need that. Some people can be more free flowing, and again, it's personal. We talk about structure. And then what starts to happen is that I very encourage you just to start writing. Um, I always say a first draft is like putting sand in a bucket. Don't try and edit it as you're writing because it's two parts of the brain. It's really hard to be creative and be logical at the same time. So just it doesn't matter. I say to people, I don't mind if you give me the box of jigsaw pieces. It doesn't have to be in the right order. It doesn't have to, we can take things out, we can put things in, we can move things around, but I need the stuff, right? So they write something, they'll send it to me and I'll have a read, obviously, and then make notes, and then we have a call and I'll give them feedback. And we also have a chat, and that spurs other ideas and other inspirations and stuff. So that process goes for as long as it takes. I mean, I say to people, you have me for as long as it takes. If it's taken like 5 years, we may have to have a chat about why it's taking so long. But it takes as long as it takes. And once the first draft is done, I get the whole thing and I will edit it and format it and all that good stuff. And then from back and forth, making sure that you're happy with it, anything you want changing, until we're both happy. And then it's a conversation about, well, how do you want to publish it? Some people have a real strong itch to scratch to approach a publishing house, in which case I get it. I've been published by a publishing house. I understand that desire. But I can help you to put a book proposal together and to look at what publishers are most suitable for your book and your genre. Some people want to self-publish, in which case I use Amazon because it's free and it's relatively simple. And then I help them with the marketing and promotional side of things afterwards. So it really is a start to finish process.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, that's great. So on top of that, like, can you tell us also what are you excited about when it comes to your business?
The thing that lights me up the most, like I say, I'm so passionate about it. And one of my clients called me the book doula because I literally help people to give birth to their story. And I always start off and we have a chat and to listen to people's stories, to listen to what they're passionate about and to see that fire in them and then to help them to make that a reality and to watch them have a book in their hands at the end of it and to see how happy they are and how absolutely full of pride they are. To me it's a privilege. To me it's literally an honor that I get to be a part of that and I get to take them through a process that they might have found quite hard to do on their own. I read a statistic once that really just blew my head off. 97% of books that are started to be written are never finished, which
Yeah.
means that all the books in the world that exist, and there's a lot of them, is only the 3%. Now, you could argue, well, there's a lot of books already, sure. But I would rather be in the 3% than the 97%, you know. My one of my professors at university, he came into the room. It was creative writing class. And I don't know, I think it's probably about 12 of us in the room or whatever. And he came in and he said, there is no such thing as an original idea. And he must have seen the mood go, right? Because you're all these young people and you want to change the world, right? And he said, no, I don't tell you that to depress you. He said, I tell you that to help you that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. He said, if I gave you all the same character, the same plot, the same narrative structure, the same, location, you would write 12 different stories because you are 12 different people. He said, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just use your voice, use your way of doing it. That's what makes you unique. It's you. It's not trying to create something that hasn't been done before.
Totally, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And then on top of that, like in terms of if someone wants to actually find out more about you, if they want to connect to you, if they want to see some of your books or maybe purchase them, how they can do that?
My website is my name, so it's Katie Katie, Oman, spelled like the country, Oman, and that's .co.uk. All of my stuff's on there, all of my courses and programs and books, everything is on there. I'm also on social media platforms as everybody is these days, and I use the same handle for all of them, just make it easy. So it's Katie Oman 1111. And if anybody just wants to drop me a DM or whatever, I'm always happy to chat to people and see what I can do.
Sure, fantastic. So I can share that links also in the description of this video and the podcast episode. And thank you very much for being a wonderful guest today. Thank you all for watching and listening. If you like this episode, drop us a like. If you and subscribe and share it with your friends and family. So yeah, let's go from there. See you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. I've loved it. And then just everyone have a great day. Thank you.